So the Cowboys get pummeled by the Eagles on Sunday. We can all agree on that. After the game, Micah Parsons appeared to take a shot at his own head coach, Mike McCarthy. It certainly sounded that way to our Rex Ryan, who responded here on Get Up. And then Micah Parsons responded to that on his podcast. Here was all of it.
That's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys I kind of feel bad for is guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
Why the hell do you think you need to say that why do you need to hurt this man? Who do you think gets blamed for everything? He gets it anyway. And so why are you piling on? All right, yeah, dead man walking. Yeah, he is. But you know what? He's professional as hell. He hadn't once blamed a damn player, ever. It's bullshit.
I never once threw or even intended to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. Like I said, he's one of the most winningest coach. He is a Super Bowl champ. I never once brung up his past. And the question that was asked was about here in the Dallas Cowboys, did I see Mike McCarthy in our future? And I said, that's above my pay grade. So never once did I ever intended or wanted to reflect on Mike McCarthy's career because I always knew it was a good one. I've always had a great relationship with Mike McCarthy, and I never even put that in question. And for a guy like Rex Ryan, I just know he wanted to coach the Cowboys.
So that was my day yesterday.
Good day.
So we got both sides. You heard all of that. And by the way, Mike McCarthy and Micah Parsons did get together yesterday and talk things through. And Mike McCarthy said something to the effect of that Micah Parsons never meant to, attack me or whatever. So now it's all on the table. Reaction to it. Let's go. Jeff, what?
I agree actually with Micah, and it sounds good. The only thing I would have said is the second time he brought up McCarthy's name, he probably should have just left it at that, right? So just not – because I do think players as a whole, we play for each other. I get – we love head coaches that we have, but it's a different relationship. I'm not sure every fan understands the relationship between players and head coach. We do like not as much as we like the guys who cross those white lines and walk out there and go do it. And so I think he was trying to talk about the Zach Martins, the Diggs, maybe some guys, or even Lawrence, who may not be there with them, that they've won these 12 games 3 years in a row, haven't quite got done what they wanted to get done. I don't think he was intentionally trying to slight Mike McCarthy. But let me set that aside for just a second. Because we all, at this desk and desks that are here 5 days a week, fire coaches constantly. Constantly, bro. It is beyond me how many times we get up here and be like, hey, he's gone, dead man walking. And he is, right? Like, that's exactly what Rex just said. We do it all the time. As players, it's not like we don't know that. We understand the game as well as others do. So he understands the situation he's in. He wasn't trying to indict Mike McCarthy and say, hey, he's the reason we haven't done this. I think he was trying to lend it to players. And so I just want to make sure that we all understand we all take shots at coaches, and that is the responsibility of the head coach. They're always going to take the heat, and they get paid a lot. Mike Tomlin said it best. That's why I get that big paycheck. He ain't worried about it. Mike McCarthy's not worried about it either, right? He understands what he signed up for. It hasn't gone great. But at the end of the day, I think Micah was trying to say something good about Zach Martin, and it just got misconstrued.
If that's what he was trying to say, then that's what he should have said. And at some point along the line, even in his clarification, at no point has he stepped up and clarified what he was trying to say. And what you're saying makes perfect sense to me.
Right.
Because I understand that. There is a dividing line between the guys that go out there on the field and the guys who wear headsets.
Right.
And as much as we like and love some of our coaches, it's different. And to Micah's point, Zach Martin and some of those guys, their careers are coming to a close.
That's right.
And Mike McCarthy has had a long career, won a Super Bowl, and could go coach somewhere else again.
Right.
You never really run out of time when you come to coaching. So that's probably what he's trying to say. But the problem is, at some point, you got to actually say it.
Yeah.
He hasn't said it.
That's fair.
He should on his podcast say, look, what I was trying to say, because what you did say, it came across like saying, like, our coach doesn't work very hard.
Right.
And you left that up to chance. And it's also believable because it's the Cowboys. A couple weeks ago, you just did a top 10 quarterbacks list, and you left Dak off that list. I don't see you coming out apologizing for that and saying that that was wrong. And it's all the circumstance that is created by the owner, where he encourages being entertaining over being effective football players. And it's something, it's a paradigm that he's created there, where last offseason you had players' families coming out and talking bad about the quarterback. It's just something that's acceptable that Jerry Jones creates an atmosphere where you send a lame duck coach in there, you don't give him a contract extension, he's in his final year, and you don't show him any respect. So why are the players supposed to?
Yeah, just so people understand, and I know I've made this point before, a Cowboy game ends, and as a member of the media, if you're covering literally any other team, you go one of two places. You go in the locker room, talk to the players, or you go in the press conference room, talk to the coach. If you're covering the Cowboys, you stand outside the locker room, wait for Jerry Jones to emerge, and then he gives a little bit of a press conference, and then you go in the locker room. And maybe if Mike McCarthy's press conference hasn't ended yet, you go and catch the tail end of that.
Really?
Yes, that's how it works.
Wow.
It's incredible. But that's it. I mean, all the beat writers are all there, all the TV cameras are all there waiting for Jerry to come out and talk. So he's the center of it all. And I think Domonique's absolutely right. Like, this is the atmosphere there, right? It's everyone's sort of waiting for someone to say something that we can jump all over and dissect. And Micah oftentimes delivers. And I think you're absolutely right. In this case, if he had just made his point and his pivot to Zach Martin and never said Mike McCarthy's name again, we don't even have this content to work with. But once he says more hours than Mike, and I can give him the benefit of the doubt, he's saying Zach Martin's been here 11 years. Mike McCarthy's been here 4 or 5. Zach Martin's a bigger part of the fiber of this place. He has bled more for this place than any coach. So I can get it, but the way he phrased that was unfortunate and put him in a little bit of hot water. I get where he's coming from, but he probably could have handled it better.
That was the first place that reporters stopped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let me say this. And that's fact, because you've done it for forever.
I was there Sunday.
That's what Nick's point is, over the top truth. Because if the first stop is to the owner and not to the head coach, you're going to have organizational issues. I'm just telling you right now, like, I can remember Bill Polian every year and Jim Irsay, they would speak to the Indianapolis Colts one time a year.
Yes.
And they would look and defer to whoever the heck, whether it was Jim Mora, Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, and literally say, we have one voice in this building, get it from there. And you did not circumvent that. You go to the owner after the game.
Every game.
The dude's sitting in the press box.
And he does a radio show on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's
also.
unbelievable.
We will hear from him. We'll hear from Jerry Jones in an hour and a half.
That just makes Nick's point so strong, because I did not know that. I mean, I literally just knew. I mean, you may have said it. That hits me right between the eyes, because no wonder you don't have respect as a head coach, because everything's gonna be deferred to the owner and not that guy. It's an impossible way to win.
Yeah, I played for 3 teams, and I think I saw the owners of those teams maybe 2 or 3 times. You see them at the Christmas party.
Yeah,
you see them on the sideline after a big win, and that's about it. You don't see them on TV. You don't see them milling around in the locker room. They stay out of the way. And I played for organizations. I was fortunate enough to play for organizations that were stable and run well and won and had focus on those things, from Denver to Atlanta to Baltimore. These were organizations where the ownership was stable and understood how to run a franchise.
Even the GM, like you mentioned, Jerry's also the GM of the Cowboys, but you don't hear the GM talk after games. They'd rather absolutely. My time's the off season. The head coach, go to him during the season. GM has to, I believe, talk once a year, like he usually during the bye week. But that's
Ozzie Newsome is probably the best GM in the history of professional football. He was a ghost.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, he would hang around the backside of practice. He wouldn't talk to players. I mean, he would talk to us like, "Hey, how you doing?" But he wasn't like, and the cameras show up, Ozzie.
And his successor, Eric DeCosta, follows in his footsteps. You never hear from him. It's all Harbaugh.
But to circle it all the way back to Micah Parsons, he is a member. He is probably the face and the voice, quite literally, of a new generation of player.
Yeah,
and
podcasters.
They have their that's what
podcasters. That's right.
It's not just that. It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's players who believe that they should comment on anything and everything they want to, and don't have the same understanding that players of your generation did of the impact that might have on other people.
Right.
And I don't know that this is just specific to sports. It's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Sure is.
I have children who are that age, so I see it. Their entire lives live out much more publicly than ours ever did. And when there are ramifications for that, they don't fully grasp, well, wait a minute, I just said what I thought. What could possibly be wrong with that?
Right.
But the problem is, I think a lot of kids and a lot of players are learning to be more careful with their words because they are exposed to all that stuff. The problem is Micah Parsons has not gotten to that point yet, and it's fine. It's not hurting him. It's not hurting the team. It's helping all of us. But at some point, you just have to understand that what you're going to say, you're going to open yourself up to this criticism. If you don't want to be open up to this criticism, then be quiet.
Yeah.
And when you make mistakes, because we talk for a living, I've made mistakes on here, you come up and you say, this is what I said, this is what I...